Osvaldo the heads up.
Okay, I'm ready.
You ready, Osvaldo?
1 second.
Hold on one sec, Jim. Oops. This is really hard because I have to do it from a distance and it's not working.
But you
Thank
gotta-
you, Ray.
I don't want to make everybody dizzy. Okay. Are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead.
We're all set?
Yep.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's 3:30. I'd like to call the June 25th, 2020 Finance meeting to order. We will open the floor to anyone who would like to speak, but the voting needs to be by the Finance Committee meeting members only. So we're going to get started. First off with Health and Human Services, resolution number 1, authorization to fill 1 registered nurse position due to retirement. Whereas the Health Department has a vacancy in the position of registered nurse due to retirement, and whereas said position is essential to the immunization services in the county, as well as a position that can be utilized in the agency's response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Health Department is authorized to fill 1 registered of $60,535.
Move it.
We have a motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Resolution passes. We're going to move on to number 2, which again is through Health and Human Services. This is request authorization for the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to amend the existing agreement with the Mental Health Association of Columbia Green Counties, Inc., for the provision of case management service to clients placed at the Galvin Civil Motel. Whereas pursuant to Resolution 419-2018, authorizing the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to approve an addendum to the agreement with the Mental Health Association of Columbia Green Counties for the provision of case management services to clients of the Galvin Civic Motel, and such an agreement having been approved for renewal pursuant to Resolution 423-2019, amendments of the existing agreement is hereby requested in order to reduce the provision of case management services to 1 FTE case manager.
I'll move it.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Motion. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I don't know how important it is, but in the request section there, it has Galvin Civil Motel as opposed to Civic.
We can fix that.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to go to public safety, and this is resolution number 3. Let me just get one. Okay. Authorization for the district attorney to temporarily make the confidential office administration position part-time with no benefits at a salary of $35,000 and thereafter fill the position.
Move it.
We have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Ray Stats on. Did he join?
Yes, he did.
Thanks, Ray.
How you doing, Ray?
All right.
Told you.
Ron
Okay.
not recognized your voice.
We're going to get on. You can maybe get that centered a little bit better, Kelly. Resolution number 4.
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
That's
Can you
number
just-
4 up there.
Okay, I got it now. Authorization for the sheriff office to enter into renewal agreement with Taconic Hills, Ichabod Crane, Germantown, Chatham, Hudson, and New Lebanon school districts.
Move it, Ray Stats.
I'll second it.
Motion in a second.
Hey, this is Michael Shemidas. I just wanted to jump in for a second.
Sure, Mike.
I really think that I've heard really great things about Sahotra, the deputy sheriff at the Hudson School District. I know those guys are doing really important work about our county priorities. And I mentioned this at the last public safety meeting. You know, at the same time that we're doing this, we're cutting mental health services back in the schools. And I think those also provide a really important service for safety. And kids, I think, are going to need that more than ever come the fall with everything that's going on.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Okay. we're going to go on to county government. And that's authorization. Somebody got something they wanted to say? No? Okay. So I'm going to move on to county government. Authorization for human resources to establish standard work days for certain elected and appointed officials.
I'll move it.
We have a motion. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Motion passes.
Hold on.
Okay. Resolution number 6 in county government to fill vacated clerk's position. Previous clerk went out on a leave of absence and is not returned. Director unable to receive response to emails as to their intention. As a director of HR, certified letter was sent and returned as not accepted.
Kip, you moved it.
Did Kip, you move it?
I got a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Sarah, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, resolution moved. We're going to move on now to Public Works. Number 7, authorization to increase the tipping fee municipal solid waste and construction and demolition debris at the Greenport Transfer Station from $125 a ton to $140 a ton, effective September 1st, 2020. Whereas the fee increase is needed to offset the new fee structure under the contract with New England Waste Services for waste removal. Ron, did you have anything you wanted to share on this to us?
No, we just need to do this so that we can maintain the same cost differential that we have. The new contract that we have for getting rid of our disposal has gone up, so we're increasing this fee to stay ahead of that. I'll move that.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's moved. Okay, Public Works, resolution number 8. A resolution is requested authorizing the creation of a new position of county engineer within the Department of Public Works and authorizing the chairman of the board to fill such position. Whereas the county desires to create and fill, fill the county engineer position upon abolishing the public health engineer position in the Columbia County Department of Health, with the new county engineer providing professional engineering services to both Columbia County Department of Health and the Columbia County Department of Public Works. So if somewhere along the line, our engineer is maybe planning on leaving, we'll have somebody kind of in that position, yet we're sharing in between the health department and Public Works, which should work very well.
And it's cost neutral, the money's already in the budget,
Right.
so there's not an increase in the budget.
So do I have a motion?
I'll move it.
We have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jeez. Okay. Resolution number 9, Public Works. A resolution is requested authorizing the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to execute a professional services agreement between Passero Associates and Columbia County for the performance of an FAA compliant pavement management program at the Columbia County Airport, an amount of not to exceed of $70,000. Now this year,
Oh, Kippy
last
moved
month,
it.
excuse me, 700, what's that?
Kippy moved it.
Oh, okay. All right, just so everybody knows, this year is out of the last month, we passed 2 big resolutions, and this is part of that, all right? So we have a motion, we have a second.
Second, Sterling.
All right, we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're going to move on to resolution number 10. Resolution is requested authorizing the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to execute a professional service agreement between Passero Associates and Columbia County for the performance of an FAA required, I don't know what's going on, FAA required construction phase inspection and administration Task Apron Reconstruction Project, Columbia County Airport. A cost not to exceed of $166,872. And this again is out of that big resolution that we passed last month.
I'll move it.
We have a motion? We have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's moved. We're still in Public Works. This is resolution number 11. Resolution requested authorizing the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to execute a professional services agreement between Casero Associates and Columbia County for the performance of an FAA-required construction phase inspection and administrative tasks for the wildlife inadvert entry fence and NAVID improvement projects at the Columbia County Airport at a cost not to exceed of $96,340. Is there any discussion? Again, this comes out of that same pot of money that we talked last month.
Move it, Raistat.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, resolution moves.
This stuff's not big.
This here is resolution number 12 in Public Works. Authorization to increase the CHIPS expenditure line and the CHIPS revenue line by $669,708.46. Whereas New York State has elected to give Columbia County an added $250,248.33 in extreme winter recovery funds and $419,460.12 in paved New York funds. And whereas it was unknown that Columbia County would be receiving this money at the time that the budget was prepared. So we have this money. If we don't use it now, the winter recovery and the paved New York, we're going to lose it this year. So we want to use that money that's coming in, that's available to us now. Then we're going to take $150,000 out of CHIPS, which will bring us to that $669,000. And Ron, am I correct with that? Or
Yeah, the total work was $830,000 worth of work that we wanted to do. So yeah, you're right, about 150 of it is coming out of our normal CHIPS funding, but we'll spend the product monies first. So we need to do a budget amendment to have them there.
okay. Is there any other discussion on this? If not, I have a motion.
Yuri will move it.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Resolution passes.
Hey, Chairman Guzzi, this is Supervisor Hotley, and I'm not on this committee, but I was wondering if I could ask a question.
Sure.
So I'm on the Public Safety Committee, and we passed the resolution for the school resource officer, and Supervisor Chimides brought up the budgetary cut to mental health in schools, which I'm not on the Health and Human Services Committee, and I wasn't at that meeting. So it raised some questions for me. From a PR perspective, if you're looking at, we're going to cut mental health, we're going to increase, or not increase, but keep school resource officers the same. So I just had a meeting with New Lebanon's school superintendent today, and I got a lot more clarity, and I just wanted to make sure that I understand, but also for some of the other supervisors, because there are a lot of members of the public reaching out saying, how do you decrease mental health right now? And what are you prioritizing? My understanding from talking with Ms. Whitcomb is that all of the mental health services for the students regarding school mental health is provided through the school's budget. And that this mental health program that the county is talking about cutting funding to, the school was actually just acting as a host site, as a satellite office for mental health services that are offered through the county, not a school psychology, but more of a clinical psychology for counties that are struggling, instead of them and their parents having to travel all the way to Hudson, where someone like New Lebanon, that's really difficult. The school was offering their space kind of as a satellite for mental health services offered by the county to come and do it at the school, but they weren't school mental health services. So like our school has actually increased their budget for school mental health services because they understand the need right now with everything going on, that the students are going to return to school with an increased need for mental health. So within our school budget, they have actually increased their spending for school mental health services. But my understanding, and I'd like some clarity for those who know more than I do, is that the piece that the Health and Human Services talked about, they had approached the school to see if the school would kick in some funding for these services, and the school felt like they are already providing the mental health services for the school capacity through their own budget, and really they're welcome. I didn't feel like their budget should help pay for them because they're really a separate service for mental health that the county offers, where the school was really just acting as a satellite location for them to come and offer those services. Is that a valid overview of it, where it's actually not school mental health that we're cutting? It was just being offered at the school as a building?
I would say that's correct. Part of what and I want to just clarify something. You know, everybody's saying cutting services. I think we agreed at the Health and Human Services meeting that we would do a reset, which means we were going to reevaluate the services that were being provided to the schools. It is quite costly to have staff at all the schools, and that's something we need to look at, especially during this time. But I also think, I shouldn't say think, we did talk about the fact that we would not deny services to any students that needed help. You know, they might have to travel, or we might have to travel. So, I mean, anybody else on the committee? I know Rob Bury. What was your take on it, Rob?
We were working on this at the beginning of the year, and the concern was that the county was spending a lot of resources and process of reaching out to the districts to talk about revenue sharing. I mean, not revenue sharing, but cost sharing. And that got placed on hold. Before I drafted a letter and we were getting ready to do that, Michael Cole had already sent out a letter last October making basically the same inquiry. And at the time that we were talking about our task force in February, only one district had responded, and the answer was, we're not interested. So in an effort to try and reach out to the districts again and make this available, that letter was drafted, but we didn't have an opportunity to finalize it. This whole thing with COVID-19, and then our budget had to be examined very carefully. So we, as Matt said, we decided that reset would be appropriate at this time. Supervisor, you're absolutely correct. In the school districts, they've got a number of, a variety of professionals that deal with the needs of the children. Social workers, psychologists, and special education professionals. This was an added service that was being provided. But in reality, when you look at the numbers, we were asking, the schools to help pay the cost of that. So flash forward to where we are today. We're doing a reset, and we'll reevaluate that as soon as we can. But those services, as Matt said, those services are still available to those families, so they choose to take advantage of it.
Well, and that was the take of our school superintendent, was that they're all set through Lebanon anyway in providing the services needed at the school, kind of a way for families to get the services through the county without driving to Hudson. And that ended up being an expensive proposition. And so, the schools didn't want to contribute to that because they're already funding their mental health for their students through their budget. So, the idea that, mental health services at schools are getting cut, I think is not an accurate perception after my conversation with her. The accurate outcome that I saw was that the schools will no longer act as a satellite office for the county mental health services to be offered at the physical location of the school, but that they will be offered through the county.
I agree with you, and I'll take it a step further. I know that on the Health and Human Services Committee for the last couple of years, we've been looking for different ways to bring these services to the communities that need them, especially for folks that don't have the easy access to transportation. So you have to keep an eye on costs, but you also have to do what you can to help out the folks, help out people in different circumstances. So you're absolutely right. This doesn't take anything away from the children.
And part of the reason for the reset, as you all know, we have a new director that will hopefully be hired fairly soon. And we believe, or I believe, that that new director should be a part of this evaluation process.
Right.
Well, and I will say to Supervisor Jerry's point, in a town like New Lebanon, I think it is important that there's some sort of satellite offering because we're 45 minutes away and not everyone has access to transportation and we don't have public transportation. So I do look forward to conversations about how to continue, providing services without residents having to drive to New Lebanon if they're not able. Thank you.
Okay.
I also say I think we're waiting for more figures because it was such a new program. We really don't have many figures yet on how successful it was. And I thank you, Supervisor Hoagland, for talking to the schools like that, because that's a very important perspective that we don't always hear. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on that topic? If not, I'm going to move on to the next resolution, which is authorization for the chairman of the Board of Supervisors to enter into a retainer agreement with the law firm of Napoli Shilkolnik. I guess I got that right. I don't know.
You did good.
To commence a lawsuit on behalf of the County of Columbia. And I have something here that I want to read from NYSAC, which is the New York State Association of Counties, and it's regarding this. And it says, the purpose of this memorandum is to inform you of potential claims your county may have against several manufacturers or generic pharmaceutical manufacturers based upon their actions. These actions include conspiring to fix prices, agreeing to divide up customers and markets, engaging in bid rigging and other antitrust violations, which has driven up the prices of generic pharmaceuticals, sometimes thousandfold. To the extent that your county is self-insured and purchases directly or reimbursed for the cost of such generic drugs, you may have standing to seek legal recourse for this alleged wrongdoing. And I believe that that's what this resolution is all about. Did anyone they wanted to share a little bit more information on this?
Rob,
If not,
Yes, Jimmy, it's Rob Fitzsimmons.
yes, hello, Rob.
Yep, PJ and I had a conference call with Querio from New York State Association of Counties, and he was gracious enough to put us on the line with the lead attorneys handling these litigated cases and explain to us the situation. And as you said, the Federal Department of Justice and the state attorney generals have discovered that there was extreme price fixing on generic drugs at their corporate conferences, through text messages and emails. And that impacted all sorts of generic drugs that our county employees had obtained through PROACT that we paid for. So they recommended that we join. Some of the deadlines are as early as September, which is why we're bringing it on quickly. But this will authorize a retainer agreement. It is a 25% contingency retainer, so we don't pay anything unless they recover. They liken it to the opioid litigation. They said that litigation will probably be ongoing for a period of years. They're building the case they've actually brought criminal charges against some of the executives in these drug companies and gotten them to turn evidence against other companies and practices. So it'll be a developing litigation process, but it should be a good vehicle for us to get reimbursed for the price gouging or the overpricing that existed.
And also put these guys in jail, hopefully. So, okay. Is there any other discussion on this? If not, I need a motion.
I'll move that.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So is there anything else that anyone would like to bring before the finance meeting today?
Jim, it's PJ. I just want to give you a quick financial update here.
Yes.
We're starting to feel the initial financial pandemic. Just to give you an idea, sales tax for, like I said, March and April is down $1.8 million. So we have yet to receive the May sales tax receipts, which should be the end of June or probably more than likely the first week in July. We projected that our accounts receivable for our taxes, Ron and I had worked on this, and we had projected a $2 million increase of delinquent taxes. End of May, we were up $600,000 for delinquent taxes itself. And then we just received the tax collector's returns, which we have reconciled, and that is up $1 million compared to a year ago. So our total receivables are already up to $1.6 million over last year. And we're just at the beginning of this, I'm afraid.
That's because we have no feedback.
Hey, PJ, does that include internet sales yet do we get those numbers yet at this
Yep.
point?
Yep, they're in there. They're not segregated out at the moment. They segregated some out through November of 19, and I can dig and find those numbers, but they haven't segregated the rest out yet. But
Okay.
it's down significantly, and I expect the next, for May, it's still going to be down significantly, over 30% probably.
I was just wondering, I wondered how the internet sales actually were doing. I see everybody, ordering, and I see UPS delivering like crazy. So I was just kind of wondering where those numbers were, and cash flow is going well?
Well, no, that's what I'm talking about. Cash flow is down. Obviously, our receivables from social services, just to give you an idea, for the second quarter last year, we received $4 million in reimbursements from the state. Received $804,000. So the state is holding up the DSS reimbursements. So like I said, we're starting to feel the really effects of the financial effects that we have projected. So far, we're on projections. That's the good news and the bad news. On a positive side, we got a notice today from the state basis by $35,000. That's due to some auditing. It's due to the CARES Act, and it's also due to the coronavirus reimbursement for the Medicaid from the federal government. So we will be saving money, $35,000 a week. So that's on the positive side. All right, just wanted to give you an update.
Hey, PJ,
Yes.
I'm sitting in Matt's office. Cash to cash from last year to this year, what are we down, about 4 million?
Yeah, we're down between $3 and $4 million.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. Thanks for the good news.
Yeah, it's only going to get better. Hang on.
Well, we're hoping that sales tax comes in better, maybe, things are getting back a little bit.
Yeah.
They are talking about a stimulus again. I saw that on the news. So hopefully in July, we'll have something on that.
Okay. If there's anything else, anybody like to bring before the Finance Committee?
I just wanted to say, Jim, and you and I talked about this morning. We're starting the budget process earlier than normal.
Right.
We feel we're going to need a little more time, obviously. So Ron and I worked on a letter. We're going to be getting that out probably next week, and start getting the departments working on their budgets a lot sooner.
Yeah, it's a good idea. So we get an earlier start. Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
If there's no other business, a motion to adjourn?
Could I digress and ask a question not involving finance?
Sure.
Just public safety, if we put a label on it. If we don't get any further precipitation and you have any concerns of July 4th, whether it be ceremonial burning or fireworks going off anywhere, do we have the authority to issue a general warning about, fires, burning? The most recent rain did help out, but up in Chatham here, it's crispy. And I'm worried if we don't get any more rain, that we could have a potential hazard if we do have celebrations that go unhinged. Is it a county responsibility, or should I just make it maybe a municipal responsibility just to warn citizens about possibly, involving themselves with fire and accelerants and fireworks and everything else?
Rob Fitzsimmons, can a municipality or the county issue an advisory?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I mean, we can consult with our fire board. They're always for that. As far as fireworks, they're not permissible in Columbia County other than some limited sparkler type devices. But Yeah, I have no problem with any municipality putting that out there, and I have no problem with the county putting it out there. We're still doing almost daily press releases so we can make that a public awareness issue.
Terrific. Thank you guys for accommodating me. It was just a concern we had here.
No problem.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Not? Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.